Welcome back, everyone, to Lead to Industry. Again, my name is Hill. This is my games, and Andrick over there doing things. And what we just got through talking about is our video over the expectations that we have for Microsoft and what we had the expectations about them for the future. And basically, they're just fucking up. Now, what we're going to talk about is someone that is finally succeeding compared to their last generation, which is Sony. Our expectations last year was, man, they're going to do well, because they have the right price point, they're focusing on developers, and they have a somewhat inexpensive system, and they have their focus all in the right parts.
Yes, they are focused on games.
They are focused on games for their game console.
Wow, imagine that.
But to really break it down is like our expectations were that they were on the right path, because not only were they focused on games, but they were focused on the indie developers as well.
Right. They did this whole come to Jesus talk,
right,
where it's like, we need to focus. This is where our next console needs to be.
Because here's the kicker: they don't have really any exclusives out just yet. Like, their exclusives, which is like Uncharted 4, such and such. That's
Infamous. That was an exclusive.
Really?
Infamous was it?
But it's not as big of a name as like Uncharted 4, though.
No, but it's still one of their triple A titles.
Like, is it a system pusher? Like, people will go out and buy.
I would say in their heads, they probably think it
is. I want to say that this new one probably was a system seller. I know a few people that said, "Oh my God, this new Second Son looks amazing. I want to go get the PS4."
Yeah,
but my overall point is basically like they were able to provide enough content to actually push the system, along with having a reasonable price point as well.
Well, I think it's more they're able to keep their customer base happy.
By doing what?
Happy.
By doing what? Customers, they're like, "You want games? We'll give you games."
Right.
Well, I think that always having something coming out, right? So maybe it's not a AAA title this month, but not only do we support our third-party developers, but we also have these indie content coming out. And if you're a PlayStation Plus member, we're still going to throw you this, this bone of content coming out.
And that's kind of the game. That's what makes people so successful in business, is they're being proactive. They're kind of looking around that corner and being ahead of the curve and predicting what people are going to want and producing that. Whereas Microsoft, they're so busy being retroactive, going dickless or connectless or whatever you want to call it, that they're trying to figure out what people want, right, and then cater to that.
Right.
And then the Nintendo's whatever, they'll be like, fuck everybody.
Right, because I think most Xbox One players were just waiting for Titanfall, because that was the game.
Right, that was the system pusher.
That was a system pusher, and now that base is kind of small. I mean, it's not huge. I'm sure in their eyes it's huge, but
right,
but it's not overall gaming. A lot of people like first-person shooters.
But okay, has Sony peaked too early though?
No.
Is there room for them to grow? What could you expect them to actually come out with as far as E3 and?
Well, obviously they're going to talk about their PlayStation Now
right,
thing that's coming out. Mm-hmm. They're going to talk about price points with that, which I think is great, because not only were people asking about backwards compatibility, now they're going to address that, right? And they're going to say, this is how much it's going to be, and these are the 100 games you're going to get for this amount of money. If you want to do it, you don't have to.
Right.
And, they're going to have some great points. And, again, it's games. It's not video. It's not all this other things.
All these other distractions.
Like, this is for gamers.
Right.
And they realize that's the market they're in.
I think that's kind of ironic too. It's like, oh, let's focus on games. Hey, we get more money than the people that are focused on everybody.
Right.
Like to really specialize and channeling your market, and that's like kind of like business 102 in general. Is that focus on your niche first, and then let that niche expand to everyone else instead of trying to cover this broad base.
Right.
And that's what I think is interesting, that after so many consoles over the decades, that these companies are slowly realizing that. With that being said, do you think Sony basically has the model on how to produce a successful console?
Right now.
Okay.
For this console.
For this generation.
Yeah, they're doing everything right. And unlike the others that are kind of catching up, yeah, they're going to just be like, all right, here's some new games. Oh, by the way, we're also going to do this virtual reality thing.
Okay.
I think they're going to talk about, I forgot what they're calling it.
Yeah, that I think is just like, hey, if it works, great.
That's how Sony's always been, though. Sony,
but they already have their moneymaker coming in. So
Other than Blu-ray, Sony's always kind of been in that capacity where they're like, okay, we're gonna have this system, we're gonna focus on this. Hey, we also have this other idea, so let's try it and see if this works. You know, they've
right.
done that with the iToy. They did this with like, I think like Rumble Function
They
and all
did
this other shit.
what's it called
The Move.
the move, which
Yeah.
obviously was not a huge thing for them.
Yeah, and they weren't really like getting killed
As long as
because
they
of
put
it.
into the budget, like, hey, we're probably not going to make a lot
Right.
of money off of this.
But and there's a lot of pressure, and I think this is why Sony did so much focus on the system is because a lot of different parts of their company is not doing well.
Right.
I think the only ones that are doing well is like their movie, their production, Sony Productions, and then maybe their music, their BMG, and then like their gaming console because Microsoft, most of their money is coming from the Xbox
Right.
now, like a large majority, other than the operating system. So, calm down, Microsoft fanboys. And with Sony, they had that added pressure, like, hey, we got to come with it because this is our baby. Because I mean, they're not throwing out Bravios everywhere.
Right. So now they're just like, hey, give the gamers what they want, and so we're going to cater to that.
Right.
It's really the only way they're going to make money.
Right. I mean, they just released Spider-Man, so how much money are they making off of that?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't do so great in the second week,
Right.
but I mean.
Well, I'm really glad. I'm really glad that they did all their focus onto that because they set the model for what Microsoft needs to do next, and that's what's going to suck for Microsoft is because Microsoft is going to be like, all right, what does Sony do this week? Okay, we got to do that. What is Sony doing next? Okay, we got to do that.
Right.
And what I feel like is going to happen over time is that Microsoft is going to start shedding things because Sony's not doing a lot of what Microsoft is doing.
You mean the wrong things?
If you want to be politically correct, yes. No.
Yeah, I mean, what you're going to see in the next year, probably from Microsoft, that Sony is doing, is probably they're going to have some type of system that does backwards compatibility with old games.
Right.
You'll start seeing like stuff like that. It's just
okay. Here's one. Where do you think Sony could actually screw up that they have in process now? What could you potentially see them actually screwing up that could hurt them and maybe even have Microsoft kind of run back even?
If they get too greedy with charging for things, like hopefully they've learned their lesson not to charge for minor things. If they go back on their PlayStation Plus and maybe start not offering as good a content, or
if you delete it, you can't play it anymore.
Yeah, if you delete it, you can't play it, or some other things. I mean, obviously they hurt pretty bad with the PS3 with the whole breach of security.
That was a mess.
I mean, it's hard to think that that was only like a couple years ago.
Right.
But it was a huge deal for them. And
it was very scary for them too.
So they're still recovering from that, and so as long as they keep their focus like they have it now, and giving the gamers what they want, they're going to stay number one.
As far as your prediction, do you feel like they've won this generation already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
As far as I can see, it can only get better with them as long as they keep their, they don't
focus on content.
Yeah, as long as they don't get greedy,
Right.
which is unfortunately what everybody tends to do.
Right.
I mean, they could easily get greedy with charging for having Netflix now, or
and chalk it up to like net neutrality or something. Yeah, that's why we're charging more or something.
Yeah, or going back on their word about sharing games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
But it's not enough to like actually put a dent in their progress.
No, not right now, and I hope it doesn't come to that. So.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Any comments about Sony? Are you enjoying your Sony PlayStation 4?
To tell the truth, I haven't really played it that much.
Well, there you go. That's why Sony's making so much money.
I got it.
Buy it.
I got
don't
it
play it
because I knew they were going to come out with good quality games, and I mean they're slowly trickling out. The last game that I played, that I'm still kind of playing, is Infamous Second Son. It's a really fun game. I know you didn't like it too much.
It wasn't bad. It was the same shit rolled up in the
That's
burrito.
That's what I'm saying. And I was like, is it a system pusher? Well, to be frank, Halo is the same shit too in so many words.
Yeah, I mean, really the most, I guess, the first person would be Titanfall. It was the most innovative game that I've played so far.
It's fucking Call of Duty, and you get in a robot, and then it's different.
It's actually a lot different. But yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
you get a bigger robot. Sorry.
You don't have a robot in Call of Duty. There's no robot.
Exactly. Point taken.
But I think they're good. Just be coming out with the Order 1886 and
Right.
all these other big names that they talked about last.
Yeah, let that game go.
No, hurry up and get here.
and that's what's going to be the deciding factor too, is because when these larger games like Destiny and Watch Dogs come out, like
Watched out a couple of days.
where is everyone going to buy these games? Are they going to buy it for their Xbox? Are they going to buy it for PlayStation 4? And I think that's going to be the point
PlayStation with the better hardware,
too.
right? It has a better processor, all that
Right.
stuff, and Xbox is playing. The one thing you hear is the 60 frames per minute,
Right.
and PlayStation 4 can easily handle that, and they're going to come out again with a Last of Us Special Edition, which I think is a good move on their part. Everything that they're doing is
Right.
for the gamers,
And they
which is
figured
the
it
way
out.
it should be. It shouldn't be, here's our product, take it or not.
Right.
Fuck you.
Right.
Give us our money.
I think where Sony did all this correctly is that they changed like
Their philosophy.
their team.
Their philosophy.
Yeah, their team and their
whole
philosophy,
thing.
like everything is different. Whereas Microsoft, it's the same people, in
Right.
so many words. Even Mr. Everyone has internet. I can't understand why you don't have internet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I believe that they're so successful, because you have to not be afraid to change your philosophy when you're in business.
Right.
And you're hearing it here now. Their system sellers could be a new Soul Reaver game. That's what they're going to announce this
You've been saying that shit for like last year.
Hey, I'm right there with you. I love the Soul Reaver series, but Square Enix is finally making a profit. I don't think they're going to take that risk on something like that just yet. Not just yet.
All right, cool. So we've tackled Microsoft and Sony. Next, what we're going to do is talk about Nintendo. So get your tissues. Okay, so we can talk about Nintendo in the next
Jack
video. I meant to cry, but whatever.
Oh, okay.
All right, we'll catch you guys later.